Hello, fight fans. I am Jason Burgos for Sherdog.com, and tonight I have the pleasure of speaking to a fighter that has jumped to the forefront of Combate Americas. In September, he won the promotion's inaugural lightweight championship and a Fight of the Year contender against promotional stalwart Eric Gonzalez. In doing so, he moved his record to 11-0 and now takes that unbeaten record and championship home to Mexicali, Mexico for the main event of Combate 55 to face the winner of the 2019 Copa Combate, Humberto Bandenay, and that man is one of the true faces of the organization, the gifted one, Rafa Garcia. Rafa, thank you for the time today before your first ever title defense.
Thank you for having me here. It's
now,
a pleasure.
Talk to me about like your background and what brought you to the sport of MMA. Like, what was your life like growing up as a kid? Because your resume is just full of submission wins. Did you get into a grappling sport like wrestling or jiu-jitsu early in your life? Maybe you were just in another martial arts and you became a natural in grappling from when you started mixed martial arts. Tell me your background, how you got started this journey.
I started grappling. My dad put me into a defense program in the National Guard. When I was little, he wanted to teach me a lesson. He was like, you know what, you can't be picking up fights. There's some people that are more prepared, and you're gonna pay someone that's knows how to box, knows how to wrestle, knows how to do something. And I was being a little stubborn little kid, and I just told my dad, you know what, take me. I'm not scared. So he took me to a grappling class. I came out with a fever, all scratched up, all bruised up, and instead of scaring me, I ended up liking it, and here I am. Now it's my job now.
Because and you grew up in Mexico originally, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But he was military. So were you like living on a military base? Is that what it was?
No. So I live 5 minutes away from the border. So I would come and would go back and forth. So there was a program here so crossing the border, and it was the National Guard. So my dad would just take me there, like to try to prove his point. But instead of scaring me, I was just like. Nah, I like this.
Because when people think about fighters coming out of Mexico and stuff like that, they don't assume great grapplers because of what Mexican fighters have done in boxing. Fans always think strikers, really tough, and stuff like that. But fighters like Yair Rodriguez, Brandon Moreno are very crafty on the ground. You've taken that to a whole nother level with your success. First, do you feel fans and media who follow the sport may not fully understand the strong grappling infrastructure in Mexico for young fighters coming up in the MMA game?
Well, I think it's developing. I think like when I started, everything was just striking. But I started a different way. I came in from a grappling background. Like the school I went to was more grappling based. So I started learning that first, and I started competing a lot of grappling. And then when they brought me into high school, I wrestled 1 year in high school because I wasn't the greatest student. So my MMA coach told me, like, if you don't wrestle, get out of here. I don't want to ever see you again. I was like, really? Why? And he was just like, yup. Like, if you're not smart enough to have grades to wrestle in school, you're not smart enough to come and train with me. Get out of here. And he just like ran me off. It just got me a little bit more motivated. I wrestled in high school 1 year, and then I wrestled in junior college.
Well, before we get into this fight coming up, I wanted to go back to your title-winning performance in September. It was a great fight. It went back and forth. First, was that by far the hardest fight of your career? And second, you hit him with some really good shots, especially in the second round. Were there moments where you were even amazed, like, damn, this guy doesn't go away. This guy's taking serious shots. What the hell do I have to do to stop this guy?
Yeah, it was one of my hardest fights. I mean, I don't know if it was my hardest fight, but it was one of the hardest fights. Ghost he has an amazing jaw, I hit him with one solid good right that he threw his mouthpiece, dropped his mouthpiece away, and he took it like a champ. But, I mean, so I was just like, man, I'm not going to knock this guy out. And since the rounds are coming in, like, we're both going to be more tired, so I might as well just impress the judges by picking him up, slamming him, and get points in. Got to play smart.
The fight went down in Mexicali, where you have a history, and you could feel the energy of the crowd through the television. They were so loud and supportive of you. Were there points in that fight when things got tough that the energy from friends, family, fans gave you a boost at certain moments? Like, for example, in the last round where you had several takedowns, you just had like an energy boost that was shocking for a guy after one in the first two rounds that were very hard. Did that energy from the crowd really give you a little extra something in that fight?
Yeah, I mean, that helped a lot, that I was from the hometown. I mean, I wasn't going to let him down. It was going to be for the title, so that meant a lot, not only for me, but for everybody that came over here. They were all like they were all really excited to see have their very first champ. We don't have a lot of like MMA here in Mexicali, so I mean they were like all excited. So that gave me a real boost, and I was just not gonna let it go. Like that fight was mine, and I took it. I mean, I didn't not only want to just take him down. I wanted to do something impress. I want to slam him. I wanted to impress the judges. I wanted to leave no doubts in that fight. So that's why I did all that. I mean, it took a lot of heart.
And I'm glad you brought up, that there's not a lot of big MMA coming to that town. This will be your third straight headlining role in Mexicali. How big is it to be a major part of bringing major MMA events to Mexicali? And have you become like a celebrity there because of your fights for Combate?
I don't consider myself a celebrity. I always tell everybody like they're not my fans. They're my people that they come and support me. I know everybody. They're my friends. They're family. But I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong. But like to what I see in every event from Combate, like Mexicali is the one that's always full, the most loud, is the one with the most people. I mean, it's just crazy to see all the support that Mexicali and not only Mexicali, Pearl Valley. We got Yuma, we got San Luis right next to the border, and Coachella Valley. They all come and support. And that's super. I mean, I'm super thankful to.
Now I want to go back to the Eric Gonzalez fight again because it's such a standout fight, such an important fight in your career. Now, a lot of the fight happened standing. You are known for your grappling, and it is your strength. However, was that fight an important confidence building moment for you and your striking to go in there with a really tough, long fighter, a pressuring fighter like Eric, and do well? Did it send a message not only to yourself but to the rest of the division that you are more complete than maybe you even get credit for as a fighter?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to show people, not only people but Eric. I mean that. I'm not scared to go and bang, like I came in the second round, I was banging, and you can even see the second round, like when I got him with those good shots, he was the one that was taking a shot at me. But I mean, I just wanted to show everybody that I got some hands, I mean, I've been working a lot on my boxing, working with Cub Swanson. He's a mind behind everything, like he's like one of the smartest guys that's been helping me be where I am right now, like with my striking, and then going with Coach Joel Diaz and Antonio Diaz. They've been just like bringing my striking game up. Also, Coach Marco Rua.
Speaking of your striking and researching you for this interview, watching the last few fights, I'm a huge fan of calf kicks, and you throw some nasty calf kicks. And I've heard from fighters that kicking in general can just suck, so that's why some guys don't do it. How do you what makes you so willing to throw those calf kicks, throw them well? Is it about technique that you can throw them and not be damaging yourself so much, or is it you just inherent with kicking? You're gonna hurt yourself, but if it helps you win, you got to do it.
I mean, I'm always thinking like if it hurts me, it's gonna hurt him more. Like I remember when I fought at Sam Payana, I kicked him once and it hurt a little bit. But I mean, after I saw his face facing me, I'm like, I bet he's hurting even more than me, And those are the Marcos Rua kicks, right? I mean, we practice a lot with Marco Ruas. Those are the Marcos Rua kicks. That's all him right now.
How big of a moment in your life was that win? You won a major title in your hometown. It is a notable championship in just your 11th fight. But as much as anything, it is a championship for a company that works hard to serve the Latino fight fans, build stars from Latin countries. How meaningful is it on all those various levels, winning a title in your hometown and winning it for Combate?
It was really big, especially just because not only because it was just the title, but it was because it was in my hometown, and winning a big title. I don't think there's you can correct me if I'm wrong, any Mexican fighter that has won a big title for Mexico. So I think that's something big I've done, and not only that, but just I don't know if you knew about this. 3 weeks later, my baby was born. So that was something that I was just thinking about. I got to think that belt to my baby, I mean, Daddy can't let her down.
Humberto Bandenay was an unknown maybe for some when they were watching Combate and in the Copa Combate in December, but he was not an unknown to many MMA fans since he had a 4-fight run in the UFC. However, at the Copa Combate, he really proved himself as a worthy contender, as worthy as you can get for your title. Eric Gonzalez seemed very worthy with his success in the company over the years. But this guy, beating 3 people in one night is something, including Eric in the finals of the Copa. What did you think of Humberto's performance in the Copa and proving his worthiness to be your first title, the challenger?
I mean, he's a really good opponent. I mean, I'm taking him really, really seriously. And that's what I'm doing, just training super hard. I mean, I've done a lot of things that I haven't But in the past, like I went 2 weeks into New Mexico, been apart from my family. Then it's been a 1 month in Orange County, and then I just finished camp this Friday. So I mean, I'm well trained and I'm
That's
ready to
interesting
go.
that you mentioned you've done things that you didn't do before, considering, you could easily be one of the guys say, hey, what I'm doing before got me a championship. Do you feel in a way the responsibility of being champion, being a face of the promotion, has even motivated you even more to understand, like, look, I got to work even harder to keep this title, so I'm going to even have to try some new things now.
Yeah, of course, because they're gonna. I feel like they did a hey-man tournament just to find me a contender. So I mean that makes me even
Yeah.
train harder. I mean I have something on me that everybody wants. So I mean I gotta come and defend and be the best Rafa
How
I
do
could
you
be.
see this fight playing out with Humberto? I mean, he's proven that he's a pretty good grappler in his own right. Do you think this turns into a grappling chess match, or do you continue to feel, that confidence in your stand-up game that this could be another showcase on how good you've gotten as a striker, and maybe it doesn't go to the ground that much?
I mean, I see myself pressuring the fight. I was coming forward. I mean, I'm not gonna let him do whatever he wants. I'm gonna be there and pushing my pace, dictating the fight. Like always coming forward, striking if I have to, going to the ground if I have to. But I mean, I see myself finishing this fight.
You are 11-0, a champion in the promotion, set to main event, like I mentioned for the third time. You are becoming one of the faces of Combate Americas, one of the fighters they will tout as a representative of the brand and what it is to be a fighter for Combate. Do you feel some pressure, some weight of that responsibility as a role as one of the faces of the organization? Is it a pressure, or maybe do you feel excited about this and want more of it to be one of the main people representing this brand?
I mean, I'm excited, because I know Combate, they're not trying to be like nobody. They're trying to compete to be the best. So that's something that excites me because I want to be the best in the world. That's my main goal, and I want to be recognized as like the best in the world. So I mean, I'm excited to take all the challenges they're giving me. Humberto was in the UFC, so I got to demonstrate that we're there and we're better than them. Like, not, I don't want to say better than them, but we're like I could face a challenge like
Yeah,
Humberto.
I mean, Combate is a brand that, like I mentioned, centers on a Latino audience all over the world. But in the end, it's still an American-based company. And that does events in the U.S. very, very much. There's so much turmoil in the country, in the U.S., because of the question of immigration, how people feel about it. You are a champion for Combate. You're a top star. Mexican born and bred. What are your thoughts on like the immigration policies of the Trump administration and the stuff going on with all that stuff? Like, do you take any unfair heat like as a Mexican star for American company? Do you get more love for it? Has anything changed in the last few years because of the craziness with that?
I mean, I think when I fight, I mean, everything comes in together. Like everybody here everybody from the border comes over there to Mexico. Everybody becomes one. That's how I see it. Like I feel like everybody in the Pure Valley, which that's in the U.S. on this side of Mexicali, we all become one, and we go. They all come and support me, and they're all over there for me. So I mean, I've always told everybody I don't see no borders. Like the way I was raised is like we're all one. We're all the
Now, I
same.
always like to end the interviews, learning about the person away from fighting, because I understand how much fighting, especially a training camp going into a fight, can just consume a person's life, beat them up physically, beat them up a lot mentally. It's such a drain preparing for it. So I want to know I always ask what people do away from fighting that keeps them sane, that keeps them happy. I've gotten stuff like cooking, of course, hanging out with the family, video games, comic books, jumping from airplanes, all kinds of stuff. What does Gifted like to do that has nothing to do with fighting for fun?
I mean, I like to hang out a lot with my family, but one thing I like to do is ride my horse a lot.
Ah,
Ride my horse and do like the little dangerous thing that my managers don't like. Like sometimes I go in and I will tell them I'll be riding bulls. I'll be
wow.
doing crazy stuff. What I mean, I live in the country, so I love
Well,
all that.
I'm in New York City, so I obviously don't see bull riding or really understand bull riding that much. What does it feel like to be on a bull? Like, that's got to be insane. That's got to be like riding a rocket. What is that like?
Oh man, I was there probably like for 8 to 10 seconds. And it felt like an hour. I mean, I came down. I was trying to walk. My legs were still shaking.
Wow.
Like I mean, I don't know if I was scared. It was just adrenaline. Like because I don't think I was scared, but just the adrenaline of getting in the bull And like the only thing I was thinking, like, if I fall, where do I fall? Like, what do I do? Where do I roll to? I don't want him to step on me. I don't want him to hit me with the horns. So I mean, it's just that adrenaline, you know, and I
What's
love that.
scarier, worrying about where and how you fall so you don't hurt yourself, or when you fall and then you get back up, hoping the bull does not charge you?
Oh, you know, it was scary right there that my manager was there. So he doesn't talk no English. So I told the guy, open the door. And my manager was like, what did he say? And then when he opened it, he said, no. So when I fell off the bull and I ran over, I was just more afraid what he was going to tell me. And coming home to my dad, and I was just telling him, like, hey, Dad, I wrote a book. He was probably, that was the first time he told me, don't do that. You're a fighter now. That's your career. You got to take care of your career. And my manager, he got on my case right away. He was like, dude, what are you thinking? But I got it on video. That's cool.
I talked to one fighter that he was a bit of an adrenaline junkie away from things too, because fighting itself is such an adrenaline rush, and you can't just get away with it. You got to find it elsewhere. Is it similar for you? The rush of fighting, you got to try to fight from time to time elsewhere. Bull riding being one example of that.
Yeah. You know, fighting it's almost like the same thing. You know, right when you're riding the bull, you're almost fighting the bull. Like you don't want to fall off. The bull wants to get you off there. Fighting is the same thing. I'm fighting somebody. I'm always gonna be on top of somebody that fighter doesn't want me to be on top of him. You know, so it's like a little adrenaline rush. I love